Amplifying Leadership podcast, a place to share leadership challenges, wins, or topics that are key to leadership. My name is Tara Lehman, and I'm a partner, coach, and consultant at Twin Life Coaching and Business Services, of which Amplifying Leadership is a division. For our leadership clients, I aim to support you with tools, coaching, and information through our podcast. You can see all of our leadership services and information about our Amplifying Leadership community at amplifyingleadership.ca. Today, I am welcoming Dr. Sherell Edwards, a certified phytotherapist and health consultant. Dr. Sherell is also proprietor of All One Life, along with managing 3 LLC companies. She is not only passionate about what she does and with leadership, but is someone who loves to travel, read, and enjoy her family. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
So before we get started with our conversation around leadership, you did tell me that you travel. So my first question is, where is the most interesting place you've been?
Ooh, Croatia. I would say Croatia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was it business or pleasure?
No, it was vacation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it kind of ended up getting added into the list at the end of the moment, but
Yeah,
turned out to be a pretty good. It was pretty interesting there. A lot of stuff,
awesome.
you just know, yeah, you hear about stuff, but you just never get the gist of it until you
Till you're
till you
there.
see it, experience it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
really nice. Yeah.
Well, let's get started a little bit about finding more about what your leadership story is, kind of how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Um, I probably throughout my career, I've had the privilege of like leading small teams or in small leadership capacity,
Hmm.
and each experience just kind of builds itself and builds itself and builds
Hmm.
itself. So I recognize the importance of building strong relationships,
Oh,
early
yes.
on. And as you grow, and then when you get into entrepreneurship or get into building businesses, you carry those pieces with you.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how it started, and then snowballs into what okay, I'm getting up early mornings and going to
Hmm.
bed late at night. It's called the business.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, can you explain a little bit about what phytotherapy is, just in case we have listeners who don't really understand what that is?
Phytotherapy is the study of the development of plants and herbs into medicine.
Hmm.
Our body, a lot of people don't recognize our body is a self-healing agent. It can heal itself, heal and repair itself, sometimes slower in slower phases, but it does. And phytotherapy is the development of those medicines from plants and herbs to heal ourselves,
Hmm.
which is more, of course, holistic health or a natural approach
Hmm.
versus, the commercial approach. Sometimes that's often seen or used.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
So, every business owner, as you probably know, and leader does have their challenges. What
Yes.
would you say is the biggest challenge you have had to overcome on your leadership journey to even being a business owner?
Ooh, one of my biggest obstacles I faced on my leadership journey was leading through a major organizational change. Our company
Ah.
we underwent significant restructuring that included like downsizing and reallocating some
Hmm.
resources and stuff. And so this led to, of course, uncertainty, resistance in some places, and then sometimes you get low morale from one or two people.
Right.
You get
Yes.
some people that just, they're just gonna be pessimistic, and anytime the
Hmm.
word change is mentioned.
Yes, it's a
So
scary word, change.
exactly. So to overcome that, I adopted a transparent and empathetic approach.
Very good.
To where I openly communicated, our reasons for the changes, addressed any concerns, probably on a weekly basis, just went back, have you
Mhm.
thought of any other questions that you didn't ask before, about what we're going through, and, just try to be supportive to a degree in that process. And I focused on creating a sense of stability and just kind of
Mhm.
shared the purpose and what we were moving to. So, I find out it helps when people understand where you're
Mhm.
trying to get to and what you're trying to do. So, by fostering that culture of trust and resilience, we were able to navigate that change. But it came week by week. You have to,
Mhm.
constantly, be on top of things, reassuring people, telling them this step means this, and this is how it applies to the new
Yes.
change and what it's going to do for us. So that's it kind of emerges into building a stronger team, to be honest. That's kind of what
Yes.
happened. Yeah.
And resilience, as you said, very important in that. I've too gone through a couple of different organizational changes prior in my corporate world life.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was a major culture shift. One of them is the same thing you were talking about, where there's downsizing and things like that happening. And trust, open dialogue, like you mentioned, so important in keeping people informed and having that open door, because
Yeah.
people like to know the answer to the word why. So
There
if
you
we
go.
don't share that with them, right, then
We
people
don't
get
offer that,
scared.
right. We don't, sometimes you can't share everything. That's just the honest God's truth. When you're
Fair
running a
enough.
business, you
Yeah.
can't share every little thing. But when you can share what you can, and it builds fosters a communication and an understanding that, hey, this is all connected and this is going to get us to a better place, then people can accept that better than just
Exactly.
like you say, not being told anything and trying to be driven to a spot where it's the unknown never gets us too far.
No, it's not. There's no buy-in at that level,
No,
right?
no,
So let
no.
me talk a little bit then about inclusive leadership, including everybody, as you're talking about open, but also just being inclusive in general. What do you think are some attributes or key skills maybe a leader should have to ensure that they are being inclusive, and maybe why you feel these are important?
Well, inclusive leadership is essential for creating a diverse and equitable workplace
Hmm.
wherever everyone's voices are heard and valued.
Hmm.
So people have to
Yes.
feel heard and valued. Some attributes that I believe are crucial for an inclusive leader are first empathy, like we mentioned in that
Yes.
last process. You have
Hmm.
to be empathetic to a degree. You have to understand and emphasize that people are having their own personal experiences
Hmm.
outside of their business world, and how that plays into what you're going to receive from
Exactly.
from them in
Yeah.
production during the day.
Yeah.
Open-mindedness. You have to embrace the diversity of thoughts and
Hmm.
and opinion places and pain points for people and different backgrounds and perspectives. So you have to factor all that in as well. Then collaboration, I love that piece because
Hmm.
it fosters a collective feel where there's
Yes.
teamwork and there's cooperation. Everybody gets to contribute their strength or bring whatever that thing is that they're good at. They get to bring that into that
Hmm.
fold. So when you're being collaborative, that kind of it promotes what I love to do, which is foster cross-functional collaborations
Oh,
and
beautiful.
teamwork. Yeah, and it just builds. It makes everybody feel important. I know that in this group, it might be a group of four, for say.
Hmm.
I know that I'm the person that can map out the plan. So that's my piece in this. And
Hmm.
I've been effective in this process. They needed my piece, and now it's going to go on to the next person, and they'll add their piece, and and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and then the last one will be advocacy. I
Hmm.
believe that we have to advocate for our underrepresented individuals, ensure that they feel that they're equitable in the process as well. Where they're gonna,
Hmm. Yep.
they thrive and that they're gonna be included in what we're
Yes.
also doing. And just make sure that they don't, feel like they're experiencing bias or any kind of
Yes.
form of discrimination just because of the change. And just assure them that the changes are going to affect everybody. It's going to include everybody, not just them,
Hmm.
because many
Hmm.
times people go off wondering in their mind that it's a bias thing or a discrimination thing when everybody's being
Being
it's gonna,
affected. Yes.
yeah, everybody's
Yeah.
being affected, not just them. So we want to ensure that as well by embodying that process of those four things: empathy, open-mindedness, collaboration, and advocacy.
Absolutely. And you speak to me when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion as well, because that is
Yeah,
something I hugely advocate for. And it is so
absolutely.
important when you are being trying to be an inclusive leader. And when you do have a major change that you were talking about earlier, it's
Mm-hmm.
so important to make sure all of those things when you're communicating with others are kept at the top of mind, so that you do things effectively with that open door. So that brings me a little bit to a question I want to pop in here, and that is when it comes to communication, what is something that you feel is extremely important? We've talked about open door, we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about being inclusive. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
When it comes to communication, I just believe we have to be clear, And we
Mm-hmm.
have, and it has to be a continuous process. It can't be, just a one-time thing. I believe a lot of people say open door. Well, my process, I do a lot of stuff virtually, and I have
Mm-hmm.
VAs and teams. So
Yeah.
we communicate a lot by email, or
Mm-hmm.
social media, or our groups, our team groups, or whatever. We have our chats and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
before we could get effective in that process, we had to meet. I made sure we met on Zoom so that everybody could
Mm-hmm.
start to understand the way we present our language, the way we communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't communicate the same. So yeah,
Exactly.
okay means one thing for me. It could be something else for you. So
Absolutely right. Yeah.
yeah, so we had to meet. I wanted to make sure, and we still do, even in between all the chat and all the other stuff, we still get together so we can hear each other's voice and
Mm-hmm.
get a full understanding of what it is we mean when we're speaking,
Yeah.
and gain that. So when this person says, like, for instance, I have one of my VAs, his name is Han, and
Mm-hmm.
Han is a joke. He kind of, on his character is jokey like.
Yeah.
So when he says something, sometimes we have to say, "Han, are you joking? Are you playing with me?"
Ah, the confirmation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to gain the confirmation in that process. So that's the biggest thing that I'm big on, and I learned at early on. Like you said, once you start to bring people in, you have to understand their communication language and
Mm-hmm.
style, and when they say something, what that means for them. And when you're communicating that, they understand what you're meaning. And me being a leader, I definitely have to, be very clear and,
Yes.
informative and understand, so that they understand what I'm saying. So that, I know it was funny one day they were on the chat, and I was out on vacation for a couple of days, but I would pop in the chat. They didn't know it, but it was funny. They was like, "Hey, boss is gone, so we could play a little bit, but not too much, because and so somebody chimed back with something that I would say." So I thought it was funny.
Funny.
I
Yeah.
thought it was funny, but I said, well, they understand, our language. We all
Yeah.
have a language, and then let me know they understood what our language was with each other. So it was kind of funny.
Oh, that's great. And
Yeah,
when we talk about communication, you brought up because you do some stuff remotely.
yeah.
Video, so important
Oh yeah,
as well. And
oh
having
yeah.
those community groups or those chat groups or just somewhere where people can communicate with each other so they don't
Absolutely.
feel left out. And that, is another inclusive part. I
Yeah.
remember working in my corporate world where we had salespeople across Canada. I'm up in Canada, for those of you who don't know. And in order to include them, we actually started way back in 2001, believe it or not, a phone
Mm,
call where we all called in on Fridays just to make sure
hmm.
that they were up to date, they felt included. It's so important with remote
Absolutely.
workers. So I'm so happy and proud to hear that you're doing that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is the number one tip that you would share with leaders today that can maybe enhance their leadership skills, or maybe even just based on your own leadership journey? What do you think that would be, that big tip that you would want to share?
Uh, Probably that number one tip I'd like to share to enhance leadership skills is never stop learning and developing
Ah,
yourself.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
never stop doing that. Leadership is an ongoing journey. It requires continuous growth and improvement. And I always say is comfort is the enemy to progress. When we
Yeah,
get
I like that.
comfortable, we get stagnant, and we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to become stale water. We don't want to, become dry in our place and not ineffective. We want to grow. We want to change. We want to keep up. And
Mm-hmm.
in that process, we have to keep learning and being open to learning and development at all times, ourselves as well as our team. So when
Mm-hmm.
we do that, then we can bring that perspective to our team, and be able to easily give them the benefits of it, or show them
Mm-hmm.
the benefits of it. They'll never turn it away. I had somebody
Yeah.
that left the company probably about a year ago, and her
Mm-hmm.
family was moving. They were moving actually on the other side of the country. And she said that she was leaving and all that, and I understood. And so she said, if I ever come back this way, I'm going to call you to see if I can come back to work for you again. I
Oh,
said, oh, that's really cool. I said,
that's amazing.
but why would you want to come back and work for me? So she She said, I always got the opportunity to learn something new. She said, I learned so much being one of, when you're contractors and being on your teams. You teach us so much. You open us up to so much, and you do not shy away. You don't,
Mm,
it's not, she said, were so open even to us bringing in new stuff. And you didn't know whether we knew what we were talking about or not, but you heard us out. You listened to us,
mhm.
and you let us bring our expertise in as
Amazing.
well. So she said, I got so much benefit and joy out of that. I learned from the people that were around. I learned so much from you. And she said, if I ever come this way, I'm going to call you.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
it goes with a key leadership trait, which is to make
Mhm.
sure that you are growing your team to be the
Yeah.
leaders as well, because
Yeah.
leadership is being part of a team. It's
It
not
is.
just telling them what to do. It's like what you said. It's like asking for feedback and then retaining them in ways that mean it's growth for you, it's growth for them, and just learning. And I think it is a great rounded way to finish our conversation today, because growth and learning never ends. It doesn't even end, not just for leaders, but for everyone. We continually learn and grow
That's
as
right.
we go forward. But leaders, you're right, can get stagnant. And
Yeah.
even just the basic foundations of leadership that we talked a little bit about today, like of being inclusive or being communicative, you have to keep those skills up too. And that's where a lot of it has to come back in, right?
Absolutely. I totally believe that until we get that part down, that everything else flows. I believe it'll flow because you'll find, that's the thing about working with teams. You eventually find commonality among
Yes.
among your team or the group or stuff like that. So that stuff comes, but you gotta first, everybody gotta be open to the learning and
Mhm.
and development of yourself, and then you bring that with you to
Yeah.
that group, and that group is gonna be on 10 all the time.
And that's how you retain employees and get them back when they move away.
Absolutely. Do you know, I was reading some stuff, and I found out that is the number two reason. That's the second reason, after money,
Mhm.
that's the second reason that people leave employment. They don't feel that their skill set is being utilized to its maximum or to the place that it should be. Their skills aren't being used, and so they
Mhm.
will get uninterested and they'll leave.
That's yeah.
That's the only reason behind money.
And
Hmm.
it's so true. Humans like to learn and grow, and
Oh
some
yeah.
people don't like to be stagnant. And if we leave them there, they're going to leave.
They're gonna
So,
wander off. That's right.
yeah, and
Yep.
just offering to help with a project that's different or new, if that's all you can give them, is better than nothing at all. I agree
Absolutely.
100%. So, if our guests did want to learn a little bit more about what you do or a little bit more about you, is there a way for them to find you online?
Absolutely. They can go to, I have a website. That
Mhm.
website is www.here, Here comes, COMES, dr.com. Or they can also connect with me on Instagram. I'm at Dr. Dr. She, SHE serves. So it's at Dr. She serves, on Instagram if they want to reach me there. And we do. I believe one of my team members put together a Facebook fan page recently,
Awesome.
for the business, and that's All One Life. So if you look up a business fan page for All One Life, we're there.
That's great. Thank you. And
All
thank you
right.
so much for the awesome talk today.
Thank you.
Thank you to our audience. I am sure you enjoyed our episode today as well. If you are new to leadership or even a seasoned leader who knows that leadership coaching, consulting, or workshops and growth, as we talked about today, are the way to grow on your leadership journey, or maybe you just want to be a guest on my podcast, please reach out to me at tara@twinlifecoaching.ca. To find out more about all of our leadership services, including our community, please visit amplifyingleadership.ca, a Twin Life Coaching and Business Services division. Until next time, please be safe and be an amazing leader or leader to be.